First part here is we have age and price, okay? So what we need to do is need to draw an XY axis, okay? XY axis is shown. I'll just do it up here because it'll just be slightly easier. Now, what we got to do is we have to decide which one. We have to decide which one is going on the x-axis. So, does anybody want age on the x-axis or price? Which one do you want on the x-axis? Age at the bottom, and we're going to put a price on the. So it's very important that you label what you're doing. Okay. So marks can be sometimes lost for not labeling. So age in years. Okay. Now, the first thing you gotta do is you gotta get your range. Where is the start and where is the finish? Starts at 1 and will end at 8. So I could make every single one of these. I could do this 1, 2, 3. It doesn't look good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna space it out a little. So we're gonna make every 3 blocks worth 1. Okay. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. Next step, I gotta figure out my minimum is 40 and my maximum is 280. Okay. So I gotta count how many blocks I have here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. I roughly have 16. Okay. So 40 minus 280 minus 40. 280 minus 40 is 240. So I'm going to do 12 blocks of 20. Okay, 12 blocks of 20 should work nicely. Okay, so I'm going to start off at 40. So 40. Every two blocks is worth 40. It's no point in putting them all in. Okay, 120, 160, 200, 240. And then this here is going to be 280. Okay. Now, what we got to do is we got to start writing them in. 6 years, the first one's 60. 6 and 60 is located here. First one done. 3 and 180. 3, 180 is in between the two of them. 3, 180. Next one, 2 and 240. We're going to put this one up here. Next one, 4 and 120 is going to be here. Next one, 6 and 100. 6 and 100. 6 and 100 is going to be located here. The next one is going to be 1 and 280, which is going to be up here. The next one after that is going to be 4 and 160, which is located up here. The next one is going to be 8 and 40, which is located down here. 2 and 200 is located here. And finally 7 and 50, which is going to be just here. Now, what we can see is that the general trend is going to be now done by this red line here. And we can see that we're trying to fit them all in. So it's going to be something like the first line, about something like this maybe. Okay? What we have is a reasonably strong negative correlation. So basically, Ben wants to buy a second-hand bike. He regards to age and price the type he wants. Basically, the older the bike is, the lower the price. Okay? The only real exception in money terms would be if you have a really rare bike. The older it gets, if it's out of production, it could get really expensive as like an antique. But that's very rare. In general, bikes will get much less expensive as they get older. Okay, so they get cheaper as they get older. Now the next part of this question is basically saying we drew our scatter point, which is grand. So we're going to have to describe the correlation that exists. So draw the scatter graph, putting age on the horizontal axis. We've done that. The next part we're going to do is what does the scatter graph tell you about the connection between ages of bikes and their prices? The older the bike, the cheaper it is. The newer the bike, the more expensive it is. Describe in 2 words the correlation that exists. I'd say a moderately strong negative correlation. Moderately In 2 words. Okay. Negative correlation. It's a negative correlation. And I don't know if the word correlation doesn't count, so we're going to go for a strong negative. So strong negative being the 2 words, and correlation doesn't count because it's actually about the correlation. Okay. Okay. Next question. Question 9. 4 scatter plots are shown above. For each of the following situations, choose the most appropriate to the scatter graphs. Explain your choice in each case. Boys' height and their shoe size. As height gets bigger, usually so does shoe size. So I'd suggest either B or D. Now, you could argue both. So you could say that as the height gets bigger, so does the shoe size. So we can call this height and call this shoe size. Okay? So B or D are both acceptable answers. Okay? Next question. Men's weight and the time taken for them to complete a crossword puzzle. C. Weight has no influence on how smart you are. So that's got to be C. Age of cars and their selling prices. Okay? The age of cars and their selling prices. The older the car, the cheaper it gets. So we call this age of car, and this is going to be selling price. And as most people agreed, it's going to be A. It's going to get as the car is younger, it's more expensive. Okay. So it's going to be A. Marks achieved in Maths Paper 1 and Maths Paper 2. Usually, if you do bad on Maths Paper 1, you'll do bad on Maths Paper 2. So I'd either say B or D. Okay? So B or D would be my answer for that. B or D. Okay?